Britain has spent a day reflecting on some violent images as two men killed a soldier in broad daylight in south-east London. There are still so many questions about the attack. One of those is how the authorities will, or perhaps should, react to this. Joining me now is international relations expert Professor Robert Patman of the University of Otago. Good morning, Professor Patman. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
What are the factors that have led to the government labelling this an act of terrorism, do you think?
Well, I think at least one of the suspects was already on the intelligence, the British intelligence radar screen, although at a low level, so they knew about one of the suspects. And I think the other thing is the nature of the act, the attempt to behead the Lee Rigby, the unfortunate soldier who was killed in the most appalling circumstances. And also, it was quite clear that this incident occurred near a major British military barracks, Woolwich. I think these pieces, when put together, suggest that this was a carefully planned operation, and these people were seeking to make a message. And indeed, they made no attempt to run from the scene, and they took full advantage of the fact they spoke to local people. In fact, we've seen the shocking videos of it. So I think all those pieces, when pieced together, those pieces of evidence suggest that this was a premeditated act of terror.
If it's proven to be a politically motivated terrorist attack, are we perhaps seeing a change in the way extremists are attacking, the nature of the public? Because in the past we've seen grand-scale attacks like September 11 and the July 7th bombings. Could we see a change here in the way terrorism is carried out?
I think that al-Qaeda was always a sort of relatively decentralised organisation, and what we've seen on top of that is that it's become much weakened in terms of its leadership in the last 18 months. About a third of the leadership have been killed or neutralised in the last 18 months. But what we are seeing, and this comes back to your question, is we're seeing a growth of people who are sometimes radicalised by the internet. And the case of one of the suspects, we understand, was converted, and originally his family from Nigeria, but he's living in Britain, and he was radicalised from about 2003 onwards. The police are now looking into the circumstances which led to his conversion. But one thing we should be clear here, these individuals are not representative of mainstream Islam. Indeed, many Muslims are furious over this episode in Britain, and I think it's very important that the British authorities, and I think they're handling it quite well so far, do not overreact to this appalling episode that's occurred in Woolwich.
Indeed, indeed. And this, though, the nature of this attack is a very different beast for police and security services to police, isn't it? Because you can stop people taking control of planes, and to a certain degree you can stop people getting on trains, potentially with bombs, as we saw in London. But you can't stop someone really walking out of their house with a meat cleaver, can you? No,
you can't. And this is really true. And of course, one thing we can say is that although you can't stop it, it's very difficult to create a national security state where you can prevent people from doing that. I think, in a sense, providing the authorities handle this situation in a proportionate way, in a way that's firm and targeted, these people will, in fact, discredit themselves by doing such awful things. And I think it's very important that the network that generated this attack is located.
Indeed. Professor Robert Patman, international relations expert from Otago University. Thank you.
Thank you.